of order, please. Hello? A wee bit of order, please. Yeah, firstly, I'd like to thank everybody that's come out today. I've turned out 170 people here. I'd like to thank everybody for opening my heart for coming and celebrating this race tonight. Firstly, would everybody like to raise a glass, please? I'd like to raise a glass here for the people that are no way today. Joe Logan, Danny Rogers, young Chris McCulloch, young Jerry Boyle, it's loads and loads, I mean, including my dad. Everybody, if I've got him, sorry, but that's it. But thanks, everybody. Raise a glass to them troops. Right, lads, we're going to go on. We're going to have a wee raffle here. So we've got 2 gifts here, but before everybody's paying a lot of money all year and put a lot into the club, so we'd like to get a wee free raffle tonight, and hopefully somebody wins, or somebody will win it. But we're going to know it now. Is that enough for us? This is for the side Celtic talk. John Digers. The signed ball has been won by Jerry Boyle and Jerry B. Also, lads, we've got a very special guest in the room tonight. We've got our own Lisbon line for Govan, Jim Craig in the room. Firstly, I'd like to invite up his wife, Elizabeth, for a bunch of flowers. Elizabeth, can you come up, please? Next we've got a wee gift. This is a special thing for us, especially for me, Colin, Erin, Conor Lloyd, all the boys in help with the bus now. It's for, we'd like to invite up Tony Ford and Jerry Boyle. See, without these guys, we wouldn't have a club. Tony Ford, Jerry. Right, lads, we all worked in together with the club. We're sending Tony and Jerry to Lisbon to the National Stadium for 2-day break. You want to say something?
Oh, he's greeting already.
Yeah, Jerry Boyle, say a few words.
Honestly, I'm dumbfounded. I don't know what to say here. We didn't join. Tony Ford and 4 other guys from Govan started the club in 1984. Danny Boyle, John Burton, Bar McKenna, John Hughes and Tony Ford. Tony Ford ran the club for the best part of 35 years, and then Kevin Maguire taking over, and honestly, see the Govan Emerald going forever. As you know yourself, with all the boys from Temple, Fulham, next Hill, everybody helps with the club, and that's what makes the Govan Emerald the other day. Thank you very much.
Hey, Mixley, we're going to get Mark McGlone to come up and have a few words with Jim Craig. Everybody a round of applause for Jim Craig, Govan's Lisbon Lion.
Well, what a pleasure it is to have a Lisbon Lion here. As a wee boy growing up in Govan, when we first saw what happened in Lisbon, you would never think as a child you would meet guys like Jim Craig. And it's quite funny because I've known Jim maybe 35 years now, and I still get funny feelings knowing that he's a good friend because I still see him as a legend up there. And that's what Jim will always be for me. There, not in front of everybody. Is it Barfillin? Jim's for Barfillin Drive, isn't it? No, Barfillin, just off Cadorna, Raised Road West, Jura Street. Barfillin Drive, Jim came from. And we're going to have a wee quick chat just now, just about Jim and the events in Lisbon and what that kind of means to everybody here. Because no, Jerry Boyle was talking there about the Govan Emerald going on forever. And it's a bit like Celtic. No matter what happens in their life, where we end up in life, whether we end up far away or whether we end up not being as well as physically as we are, the thing that is a constant to the day we pass on is Celtic, and it always just stays there. It just stays there all the time, doesn't it? And we get through sort of years where things are not so good and things are good and things are brilliant right now. I don't know if the two trophies are here. I think they're here or they're coming. But I think when everybody gets a picture with the two trophies tonight, they've got to put it on their social media and say to Philippe Clement, this is what you could have won. Anyway, so I'm going to have a wee chat about Govan Emerald and Celts for Change that kicked off a whole new revolution at the club in 1994, and the importance of the Govan Emerald in the Celts for Change group is quite pivotal, and I think tonight's an opportunity to talk about it and to talk about guys like Tony Ford and Jerry Boyle, who I've probably known over 40 years. You know, without these guys being around, whatever their day-to-day involvement is today, what they did starting the club and keeping it going, because running a supports club, as I know, is very difficult. You're dealing with hundreds of different things and hundreds of different people, hundreds of different personalities, hundreds of different fallouts, getting tickets, not getting tickets, and all the rest of it. But, you know, guys like Jerry Boyle, Tony Ford, and other people, Sapper, what was his second name, Sapper Boyle, guys like that, way back at the very foundations, you know, are due major credit in my opinion. So, I'm going to talk a wee bit about the Govan Emerald once we've spoke to Jim. Jim, a Govan boy, you jumped on a bus going up to Celtic Park, and people in the bus it was under the Hillman's umbrella, I think, wasn't it? You jumped in the corporation bus to go up to Celtic Park, and you made your debut that night.
No, I went to sign at that point. The first time I went up there was to sign for Celtic. The manager at the time was Jimmy McGlone, but all the dealings were done by Sean Fallon, his assistant. And I signed for the princely sum of £8 a week. But I was only getting 25 shillings from my parents to deal with all emergencies, so £8 was pretty good, you know, compared to that. And when I went up there, I was taken in to meet the board, and the first person I met was Bob Kelly, as he was in those days, the chairman, and he handed out the back of his left hand for me to shake. And I was a bit taken aback by that, but I took it in both hands just to go on the safe side. And then I was introduced to the treasurer, Desmond White, and he put out the back of his left hand for me to shake as well. And by now I'm totally confused. I mean, I knew Celtic kicked with the left foot, but the left hand, did you have to have something wrong with your right arm to be a director of Celtic? And it reminded me of the story going round at the time of about the American comedian Sammy Davis Jr. Went to play in a golf competition one day, and somebody said to him, "What's your handicap, Sammy?" He says, "My handicap?" He says, "I'm a black one-eyed Jew. What other handicap do you think I need?" So that was my introduction to Celtic Park, and then a few months later, I caught the bus up again because I was playing my first game. The boss had told me the night before I was playing against Go Ahead the Vector in the European Cup. They'd beaten them 6-0 in Holland, and I played in the second leg, and we got booed off the park because we only won 1-0. So that was my first experience in Celtic Park, I was getting booed off the park.
Jim, there's so much we could talk about, but you know, a lot of people here, Lisbon is ingrained, in fact everybody here, Lisbon is ingrained in them. If we fast forward to the night before the game, you went out for a walk, the team, and you stayed just outside of Lisbon to try and stay away from the mainstream group of fans.
Yes, the boss had wanted us out of the hotel because the fans had been coming in and they were being distracted. So he had a friend who lived over there in Lisbon, and we walked along the prom, and then we walked up a side street to this guy's house, and we had coffees and teas and Coca-Colas and stuff like that, and a baked tea as well. And then we came walking back again, and Neil Morgan suddenly pointed to the sign above the hotel and said, "Look, there's a sign there, Palacio Hotel. We'll take a shortcut down this hill." So on the eve of a European Cup tie, in a moment of utter madness, we went down a hill in complete darkness and climbed a fence at the bottom of the hotel and dropped into the ground. Utter madness, by the way. There could be glass in the ground, stones, you name it, there could be anything there. And that was just how it was. It was very, very casual at the time.
So the day of the game, Jim, what was the preparation like?
Well, it was no better in actual fact because it was Ascension Thursday, so the Catholics in the party went to Mass. And then we come back and we went into bed for a wee rest during the afternoon. And suddenly I was rooming with Tom Gemmell in our respective beds, and we were having a nice snooze. And suddenly the door opened and the lights came on, and Neil Morgan was standing there. And he says to me, with Gemmell in that bed, he says to me, "You're a bloody nuisance." And I said, "Me? You're a bloody nuisance? What about him?" And he says, No, you're the bloody nuisance." "What have I done?" He said, "Well, we've just signed a contract to wear Adidas's boots in the final, and you're the only one that wears Puma. So where's your boots?" I said, "They're over there." Well, he says, "I've got to take these boots away, and I've got to get some black paint and paint out that big white stripe along the side. And then I've got to get some white paint and paint in 3 white stripes along the side." He says, "You're a bloody nuisance." He went out the door. And I was lying there wondering if Inter Milan would have a similar problem in there as well. Anyway, during the game, I was very conscious of the fact every time I looked down that the white marks were beginning to appear again. And I was worried I wouldn't get my money, which amounted to £30. So it wouldn't matter too much whether I got it or not.
So Gemma, we've got to discuss this because it's been spoken about for all these years. Milan went a goal up because you gave away a penalty. So give your version.
In one of the worst decisions ever in European football, perpetrated by a short-sighted, imbecilic and cretinous member of the National Socialist Party of West Germany, a Nazi and a Hun. Now, various people were a bit annoyed as well. In the chapel house, my parish priest, who had said before the game to his housekeeper Agnes, "Isn't it wonderful, Agnes, having one of our parishioners involved in such a major occasion like this? Pour me a wee whiskey, Agnes." So she poured him a whiskey and she had a wee sherry for herself, and they sat and watched the game. And when that incident happened, he turned to Agnes and said, "Your friend Craig made an awful mess of that, Agnes." And in the house, my mum was watching the television, my dad was in Lisbon. He apparently turned to Uncle Philip and said, "I've come all this bloody way to see that." And my mother went out to weed the garden because she couldn't bear to watch, and she's hacking the garden away with a hoe. And Dennis, my brother, stuck his head in the window and said, "Mum, that's Celtic, this is a penalty given against them." "Oh, dear God," she said, "Jesus, Mary and Joseph." And Dennis stuck his head out the window again and said, "By the way, Mum, it was Jim that gave away the penalty." God's sake. And she put a rosary beads out of her pocket, dropped her knees and started saying a rosary in the front. However, we recovered, and in the second half I laid on a pass from Gemmell, which his granny could have scored from. And we became the first British, Scottish, British and Western European team to win the European Cup.
So Jim, the realisation that we've won the cup, I mean, there must be moments in life where we've all had moments in life where our first child's been born or there's been something mega happening. That moment when the final whistle went and the realisation that Celtic had won the European Cup, the first ever British team to win it. What went through you? What was the feeling?
Absolutely amazing, because we realised the task that went before us. I mean, they'd won the cup twice before, Inter, and they were a very good side. And I must tell you this bit, because when we came onto the pitch, we came up a set of steps up to the pitch, and they came out a separate set of steps. And we had been in the sun for 2 days, so we're blotchy red, and peely wally would have been the word to describe it, you know. And they suddenly appeared and they looked magnificent. They were in cashmere jerseys compared to our cotton. They were bronzed and oiled and looked absolutely terrific. The hair was all swept back and all the rest of it. And we just looked like a crowd of wee laddies that came out to play football, to be quite honest. And it wasn't much. But no, the whole team that day put in a real shift, and that was why we won. And you must congratulate everybody in the side for rising to the challenge, which doesn't always happen. Teams get beaten sometimes. When you're looking for excuses why they get beaten, and it's because they haven't risen to the occasion. That's why they get beaten. Well, on that particular occasion, everybody in the team rose to the challenge, and we got the just reward. And without the boss in charge, there would have been no Lisbon win. I mean, he was absolutely fantastic. He wasn't the easiest man to get on with sometimes. In fact, we had our moments, Jock and I, and because I had a mouth on me as well. And there was one classic day where we came in at half time, we were playing Queen's Park, and we weren't playing particularly well, and I was on the bench. I'd been niggling ankle injury, and he put me on the bench. And the team did not play well in the first half. It was nothing each at half time. They came in and they had a rant, everybody. And I went to the desk at the far corner of the room, picked up my cup of coffee and went over to the corner and sat there because nothing to do with me. And I'm sitting concentrating on a cup of coffee, but suddenly I see the feet are pointing in my direction. They turned to me and they said, "It's for you." what a bloody player you must be if you can't get your place amongst this shower that's sitting over here. That would be put my place as well. But no, without him, it just would not have happened. I'll be quite honest.
There's quite a famous. It's quite a famous picture, Jim, about a minute and a half before the final whistle went Lisbon. Jock got up and walked away to the Celtic bench. Now for a guy that was really in control, was the boss, was cool, knew everything that was happening, why do you think he did that?
Because he lost his own control, man, to be quite honest. He told me later on that he was really nervous towards the end because he was expecting them to come out of defence where they had been the whole game. And because of what it means, you're 2-1 down and you're going to push for an extra goal. He was expecting more players to come forward. And that was it, he lost it himself and just took advantage of that to try and get his senses back again, you know. But no, I mean, the man had his moments. We mentioned earlier on, you and I, when we were talking about final 3 years later, that was an awful game for Celtic to play in because they were the up-and-coming team. We were European Championship winners 3 years before. And we suddenly played them and the team did not rise to the occasion. Now, I was on the bench that night, so you can't blame me for that. But, just collectively, the team did not rise to the occasion. And that's the dividing line between success and failure. If your 11 players rise to the challenge and everybody gives a good account of themselves, you've got a fighting chance. If half of them are not up for it, then you're going to struggle. And that night we struggled, and it was disappointing.
So Jim, I've got to touch on the celebrations because I know that the team were all told they could take a wife or a girlfriend to the game. You know what's coming here, don't you? So you took a young lady to Lisbon, filled the crowd in with the rest of it.
Well, I did have a girlfriend at the time, and I took her to Lisbon. It was just a casual girlfriend. I mean, I had nothing serious about it, you know. But
You just took her to Lisbon, she was casual.
aye, but you know, you were told to take somebody, and I took the girl, you know. But anyway, when I came back and we went into the boardroom, we got congratulations from everybody, and this redhead picked me up because she said to me, "Congratulations." Now that's a pick-up line, if ever I've heard one, when you say that to a European champion. And I said, and it was this corny conversation, I said to Elizabeth, who's sitting there just now, I said, "What are you doing nowadays?" She said, "Well, I've just finished my second year in languages at Glasgow University and I'm going to France next year to study for a year." And I said, "Well, be sure and get your teeth checked before you go, because I qualified as a dentist the year before." And she said her dentist had just retired. So that was our first date, was Elizabeth in the chair and me behind the chair. It was also the last time I was in control. And nowadays I would like to extend my full appreciation to her because she has some tough times to deal with, because I was recently diagnosed with mild Alzheimer's disease. I have given up driving because I didn't want to run the risk of doing something that could cause an accident. So Elizabeth is my chauffeur, she's my cook, bottle washer. I've been married for 55 years. So my heartfelt thanks to her for her support at this rather difficult time. The illness affects me in certain ways. My short-term memory is not good. If you come up to have a chat about anything, introduce yourself so I know your name, because I'm unlikely to remember your name. My long-term memory is terrific. I mean, I can speak about games that happened when I played and things that happened in the past and all the rest. I'm still good with quizzes and crosswords and stuff like that. But it's the short-term memory is the problem. And I had a classic example recently when I was going up. We live in Auchterarder, down the bottom of Auchterarder, and I was walking up the high street to get papers. And I was just looking at the shops here and there, and I see a guy come towards me, and I thought, hell, I know I'm right away, right? And I was thinking, do I know him from the church, or do I know him from Celtic Park, or so I crossed the road to avoid him. And so did he. He crossed the road as well, and walked right in and said, Jim, how are you doing? And I said, oh, great, thank you. How are you? Oh, God, very embarrassed, you know. Now, Elizabeth tells me to say to people, you know, I'm sorry, my short-term memory is not good. But it's really awkward to say that to somebody because it makes you look like an idiot, you know, sometimes. And I didn't say anything, I just, you know, went on. So if you come up to me tonight for anything, please let me know your name and I'll take it on board. I was going to mention that most guys in the team at that time had a nickname. Ronnie Simpson, because of his age, he was 36, I was 24, I just turned 24. He was fairer. Ronnie had an amazing career. He played for Queen's Park when he was 14 and a half. Then he went to Partick Thistle, and then to Hibs, and eventually down to Newcastle, where he won the FA Cup twice with Newcastle United, before coming back up to join Hibs, and then Celtic. Now, when he was at Newcastle, it was unusual for a team to win 2 FA Cups in close succession, so that made him a remarkable player. But the other one that made the family of Simpson even more remarkable was on the 5th of September 1931, when John Thompson received a fatal injury at Ibrox that cost him his life that night. He died at 9:30 that night after never regaining consciousness from a collision with a player from Rangers. Ronnie's father, Jimmy, was centre-half for Rangers that day. So isn't it amazing that 2 major events in Scottish football had a Simpson involved? Jimmy at the death of John Thompson, or the accident to John Thompson, and Ronnie in Lisbon 36 years later. Quite astonishing that that should happen. Tam Gemmell was just always Tam or TG. Bobby Murdoch, when I first met him, was known as Chopper, the result of an injudicious tackle when he was a younger man. But when we were down at Seamill one day, we were dribbling between cones and then shooting at the goalkeepers. And Bobby, who had immaculate control, tripped over the first cone, kicked the second one, and then belted the third one over the wall into the beach. And Jock Stein turned and said, would you look at Sam B. Allison there? Now, Sam B. Allison was a demolition contractor in Glasgow at the time, and Bobby then became Sam as well. Billy McNeil was Caesar, not because of Julius Caesar, but Caesar Romero in Ocean's 11, who wore a type of hat, and Billy never had the hat off, came home to training, wore it back from training, wore it to a match day, all the rest of it. John Clark got kicked in the ear one day when he was playing, and he went to the side, and he taped a bandage round his head. It kept unraveling, he kept running to the side to get it taped up again. So he was lucky from then on. Jimmy Johnson, of course, was Jinky. Wonderful creature, Jimmy. He was a wonderful player. But he wound the boss up something terribly. You know, we were out in South America, and the boss gets us all together after dinner and says, right, I want to tell you something. Just heard a rumour in order to keep you off your game tomorrow, final game in South America. The Argentinians are threatening to plant women in your rooms. Now, this is a really important game for the club, and I want you to keep your mind in the game and go out there and enjoy yourselves. Okay? Jimmy put his hand up. He says, you want to say something, Jimmy? He says, boss, I would just like to say that if any of my colleagues are not interested, I'm in room 735.
Jim, thanks very much for, first of all, coming along tonight. Thanks to Elizabeth as well. We're both Govan men, we're amongst Govan people. Some of us might stay other places. I've moved 2 miles up the road to Cardorrell, so Jim, I've known about your illness for the last 2 years, and I think it's tremendously courageous of you to talk about tonight in the public. Yeah, if you feel it's the public should know, that's your call, and I'll go along with that. What I wanted to say was, and I mean this, we keep in touch and we go out for dinner. In the 2 years I've known this news, you haven't changed to me at all as far as memory and remembering things and being aware and being in company, not being left out of company. Sometimes with your illness, people can talk away and people can sort of just drift out of the company. You've never done that, you've always been in the company. We were out for dinner about 6 weeks ago for your birthday, and we're chatting for 4 hours, and I think I sent Liz a text and said Jim was involved in absolutely everything there. So the treatment you're getting is good, it's working, and I think it's really courageous for you to tell everybody, and thanks very much for coming in. Tim Craig. Kevin's telling me the time here because the Wains have got to go very soon. So just wanted to say, to finish off, a connection with Govan and the Celtics for Change movement was to get rid of the old board at Celtic because they weren't doing anything for the club. The club was running into debt and they couldn't pay the bills. The supporters put an advert in the paper and said, and just give me 2 minutes here because it's match to the club. The supporters, we put an advert in the paper and said, if you cared about your club, turn up at the City Halls tomorrow night. That was in the Sunday Mail, it was about that size, a big postage stamp. And about 30 people turned up and basically told us, who are you to tell us what's going on at Celtic. Anyway, one club in particular, the Govan Emerald, stood out. And through that man sitting down there, Tony Ford, And the reason these things might be small things that are important is because of what came afterwards. And what came afterwards has been absolutely brilliant. When we were getting grief as Celtics for Change, because people, who are these guys? You know, they were telling us about the board, because everybody trusted the board at Celtic. And all the board weren't bad, as I found out later on. It was mainly the Kelly and the Whites. But Tony stood forward and he said, our bus are right behind you, and that was really important at a crucial time in the campaign for us to get accepted by fellow Celtic supporters. We knew each other. Him and I were going on Donnelly's bus when we were 14, 15, that left for the old Govan Arms. So we had solid backing there. Won't go through the whole campaign, but what eventually came from there, from 1925 to 1965, this is quite important to put everything into perspective. Celtic won 13 trophies in 40 years. We won nothing during the bad years from 1989 to 1995. 6 years we won absolutely nothing. Nothing. And since the Celtics for Change, the Fergus McCann takeover, in 1994, we have won 44 trophies. 19 league titles, 13 Scottish Cups, 12 League Cups. I hope my maths is right. I went to Lords, so it might not be that good. Anyway, just to put everything into perspective about what happened when these guys gave us their backing, because they knew who we were. Where the club are now since those days, 44 trophies, and all these things are relative and very important, and should all be very proud of that. Thanks very much.